No.
Tigers. Fight Tigers. Mike, it's not even a top 1,000 moment all time.
Okay, Tommy, shut the hell up, man.
Mike! Of course, I'm gonna go with the right answer. It's Ryan Eads of the Baltimore Orioles. He's only wore the number 80 for 8 games. He's only one of 2 players.
You know what? No, I'm not going to take this.
Welcome back to Go Chat. We are back with episode 108. We are going to start off with the GOAT of state as always. So let's get right into it. Today we have the GOAT of Georgia. So we got the Atlanta Braves, the Atlanta Hawks, and the Atlanta Falcons. So I'll leave the floor to you guys. Actually, I'll give the floor to Matt first. Who is your GOAT of the state of Georgia?
I mean, we're going to get further into it later in the episode, but shout out Braves winning the World Series, great World Series, great ending to the 2021 season. But looking at this as a state, a whole state, for the GOAT of Georgia, it's going to have to be Matt Ryan for me personally. I mean, this guy came into the league in 2008, and right away, he just played great. He won the Rookie of the Year that year for offense. And then you look into his further years, 8 more years after that, winning the MVP, going to the Super Bowl, looking promising in the Super Bowl until Tom Brady showed up in the second half and, blew that lead. But nonetheless, he's had a great career, all pro in 2016, 4 Pro Bowlers with that. And, just what he means to the state of Georgia and more in the city of Atlanta, being there since 2008. His years are probably coming to an end. I mean, we kind of thought, Connor thought Justin Fields was going to be selected by the Falcons and kind of take him over, but we all know that his years are coming to an end in Atlanta. So just what he's been able to do in Georgia for the time being, it has to be him for me.
All right, Connor.
Yeah, I think Matt Ryan is fantastic. I love watching him every Sunday, but I'm going to go with Freddie Freeman. We can now add World Series champion onto his resume, but outside of that, he won the MVP last year. I know it was a 60-game season, but he played incredible. Had COVID to start that year, said that it was the scariest experience of his life, comes out, wins the MVP of the National League, 5-time All-Star, Gold Glove, 2-time Silver Slugger. Let's see here. I'm losing it. 271 career home runs, a 295 career batting average. 384 on base percentage. He's done it all for the city of Atlanta. To see him the other night, catch the final out of the World Series, obviously on an assist to first base, and the first thing he did with that baseball, put it right there in his back pocket. He deserved this World Series championship. Outside of everything, he's done so much for the city of Atlanta, so much for the Braves. He's my go to the state for Georgia.
Yeah, that's a great pick, Connor. Tommy, are you riding with the baseball guy?
Of course, I got to go with Freddie Freeman here. He's the clear choice for me. Connor gave all the stats and all his accomplishments, and I think the other night was certainly the biggest of his career. To hit a home run in that deciding game where they won the World Series, I think is incredibly fitting. He spent his entire 12-year career with the Atlanta Braves, and he has been that franchise. He's been the face of that franchise during his whole time there. And the other night to see him catch the final out was just incredible. And, he, like Connor said, he's won MVP. He's a 5-time All-Star, Gold Glove, Silver Sluggers. He's done it all, really. And, he is a free agent, I believe, going into, the off season. And certainly I hope he's back. And, he's a player that I could totally see spending his entire career in Atlanta. I think that's his goal. And I think it would just be fitting. To bring him their first World Series since 95, and just an incredible player, incredible person. And Freddie Freeman's the clear choice for me today.
Mike, wrap it up. Who do you think your go to the state is?
Yeah, I gotta agree with you guys. I think it's Freddie Freeman. Even though Matt Ryan has had a good career, I think Freddie Freeman is just a level above. I think he's the best first baseman in the game right now, and he's on the wrong side of 30. He's really only getting better year after year. Obviously, he won the NL MVP last year. Capped that off with really a storybook, kind of season for the Braves. Right? They lose Ronald Acuna. They bring in pretty much a brand new outfield, and Freddie Freeman leads those guys to a World Series championship. And he was so consistent throughout every game, series, the whole playoffs. You could pretty much book him for him batting 300, 400 on base percentage and over 1,000 OPS. So it's got to be Freddie Freeman for me throughout like the totality of what he's done for the Braves and the state of Georgia and city of Atlanta.
Don't get any of us wrong, though. I speak for all three of us when I say that Matt Ryan is an incredible athlete. He's done really good things in Atlanta. Obviously, he's won an MVP. He's brought the Falcons to the Super Bowl. He's been on the bad side of a really talented team that hasn't had the right amount of coaching and just the capability of really winning games in the past couple of years. Ever since that 28-3 choke in the Super Bowl, everything has really gone downhill for Atlanta. So, that's not on Matt Ryan. He's still been super consistent over the past couple of years. He's a great athlete. It's going to be a sad day whenever he retires from the NFL. But, for me, it was just Freddie Freeman over the top.
I think Matt Ryan is one of the most critically underrated quarterbacks for a while now. Even, his MVP season, I think people really downplayed Matt Ryan and really didn't think that he was that. He's eighth in passing yards all the time. That is something that I really looked at too, is what he's done passing yards, passing touchdowns. Eighth in passing yards, 10th in passing touchdowns. Looking at active players, he's third. Tom Brady and Ben Roethlisberger are the only two active players who have more yards than him. He's got more yards than Aaron Rodgers. He's got 4,000 more yards than Aaron Rodgers. You could talk about, I think they started the same year, 2008, and Rodgers has been hurt many more times. But it's just incredible what Matt Ryan's been able to do on the field. And, looking at Freddie Freeman, he's a tremendous player too. I'm not going to argue with you guys. I think they're both great players to the point where we can't argue with each other. It'll just be interesting to see, because you guys picked Von Miller. He's not in Colorado anymore. Freddie Freeman, if he departs Georgia, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
I hope, obviously,
or Georgia,
for like the sake of like Freddie Freeman like staying the same, I kind of hope he stays with the Braves. But obviously, as a Mets fan, I dislike the Braves a lot, so I want him to spread his wings and go somewhere else at the same time. But I guess we'll just have to see. Does anyone have any more thoughts on this? Go to the Georgia debate / conversation.
A very less heated one than the one last week from the state of Florida.
Yeah.
That was the craziest thing I've ever seen. I went back and watched that. That was like a 10-minute argument.
I watched the 1-minute clip that we posted on our Instagram, and I was watching it with my girlfriend. I was like, I can't let you watch this. I get too angry.
Yeah, no, I showed my roommate, and he was like, when do you ever get mad? And I can't even really remember when last time I got mad. I guess 12 would be really the only one.
No, with Buddy Boeheim.
Yeah, I wasn't really.
But like the thing is, you don't even get mad. You just try and like jab back at the other person.
I do really little subtle jabs. And then
it's like passive aggressive. Connor and I are just straight up aggressive.
We have a great episode planned for you guys, so definitely stick around. We'll be right back with the hottest topic in sports right after this. Welcome back to Go Chat. And if you go on Google right now and search up the Atlanta Braves, you will have fireworks popping all over your screen. That is because they are the 2021 World Series champions. Obviously, we already alluded to that to our GOAT of the state. Obviously, it plays really well. They won the World Series on Tuesday night, and now we're here talking about them today. Tommy, great series. The Houston Astros went down in Houston. It was definitely something very enjoyable for me to watch. They had a really good season, obviously. They're apparently clean of cheating. So obviously, Chicago White Sox relievers have some different things to say about that, but they are clean of cheating. So, it was just, I was happy to see them go down. There's no better team, I think, to win this than the Atlanta Braves. So, what were your thoughts on this series, Tommy?
I thought it was a great series. Like you said, Houston, a really good team this year. And Atlanta is one of the biggest surprises I've seen. It's very similar to the Nationals in 2019, right? Got off to a slow start. Nobody really expected them. That's right, go Nats. But Nobody expected them to be there. I mean, 88 wins, right? And you think about the Toronto Blue Jays, 91 wins, didn't even make the playoffs. And there's Atlanta sitting there holding the trophy. And one incredible story. I mean, we've talked about Ronald Acuna goes down with an injury in July. He's out for the year. And to be completely honest, if he doesn't get injured and they don't make those moves to get Adam Duvall and all those other key guys, I'm not so sure that they win the World Series. So as tough as it is to say that, but an incredible series. Like we said, Freddie Freeman, so happy for him. Brian Snitker, who's been in the game for such a long time, in Atlanta's organization, to win a World Series, I think, for him was incredible. I just think it's a great story all around. And, if it's not going to be the Yankees, I was rooting for the Braves, and I'm glad it was them.
Mike, I'm sure this has to be a tough conversation for you to be involved in. The Braves are the underdog story of 2021. The Nationals were the underdog story of 2019. The Phillies have won a World Series in your lifetime, and yet there's the Mets, up in every game. In 2015 against the Royals, they lose that series in 5. Make all these acquisitions this year, miss the playoffs. Obviously you're cheering against two evils, Houston Astros, and then you're not a fan of the Atlanta Braves, obviously. What did you take for the outcome of this series?
Well, I was just gonna say, like, the similarity between the Nationals and the Braves is like there in terms of it being like, an underdog story, but like I feel like their team construction was like the way that they built their team. Obviously, the Nationals didn't have like Juan Soto get hurt in the middle of the season and then acquire a whole new outfield. That's what the Braves did, and it paid enormous dividends. Eddie Rosario, NLCS MVP, Jorge Solaire, World Series MVP. Without those guys, they don't get to where they are right now. But it sucks, man. I gotta the Mets have been the only team in the NL East to not win a World Series this century, right? And you're just giving me like PTSD from like 2015, because I think they led for like 80% of the series or more, at least. And, that was just a series they totally could have won. And now with the Braves and the Nationals, making underdog runs to the World Series title, it's tough, especially after the Mets made all these moves this offseason. Steve Cohen coming in, and with like injuries and players underperforming, it just didn't come to fruition. And by the time we get to the championship series, I don't even know. I'm not even rooting for a team, because we got the Dodgers, we got the Braves, and all that stuff. But it's not ideal if you're a Mets fan. But the Braves, they got hot at the right time. That's what baseball is all about. So huge props to them.
Matt, you were someone on this who was Dodgers from the beginning. Dodgers right from March. Obviously, Tommy and I both went the Yankees. That one didn't pan out too well for us. The Dodgers didn't make it further. But I mean, this Braves team did take down those Dodgers and then wound up going on to win the World Series that we mentioned. I mean, what were your thoughts? They took down your World Series favorite and then went on to beat the evil Houston Astros.
Yeah, I mean, I was the Dodgers from last year. I mean, I was full Dodgers, full blown when they got Max Scherzer and Trey Turner. But I mean, I thought the Braves, that was just impressive from the Braves from the start of that playoffs. I mean, going in, beating the Dodgers. I know the Dodgers had some bullpen, their pitching injuries, they weren't playing up to par. They weren't playing like the Dodgers that we saw them the whole regular season. And some people criticized them, including myself, that they would struggle against the Astros pitching. And, they haven't really seen a tremendous pitching throughout the whole postseason. But I mean, they literally just controlled this whole series. To think about it, I mean, they were up 3-1. People thought that they were going to choke the 3-1 because it's Atlanta, all they do is choke, but they actually came to fruition. They won, and they won 7-0. I mean, it's not like it was even a close game. They just dominated them throughout that whole game 6. So I mean, shout out to the Braves. The last time they won, I believe, was 1995, and this is their fourth World Series. Is it fourth or fifth? Fifth? No, they've had more than one.
Second.
It's their
No,
second in Atlanta. I think they won one in each of the spots. They were
Yeah. It's the
last
second
one.
one that they've won in Atlanta.
Okay. Well, 2, 4, I don't really care. That was so impressive. Shout out to the city of Atlanta. You know, after seeing the Falcons lose, I pretty sure it had to be brutal. Well, it is brutal. So to see Atlanta fans happy, Charlie, we all know Charlie. He's excited. Charlie Norman. I blanked on his last name. But it was cool to see the Braves win.
Tommy, I'm going to ask you a question here. I'm thinking a little bit hypothetically here, short. You know, the Dodgers, they went out and they signed Trevor Bauer to a max deal this offseason. Obviously, off the field stuff took him off of the field. If he's on the field, you know, none of that stuff happens. He's a good guy and none of those allegations go up against him. Do the Dodgers win the World Series with that extra arm?
It's a good question. I think they definitely could have. I mean, see, the thing about him to me is that he's an incredible pitcher, right? But he won the Cy Young in a shortened season. He's very spotty to me. I think while he's been consistent as of late, he hasn't always been that way. And, you know, I definitely think that he could have played, you know, a big role for them and it might have gotten them, you know, to the World Series again. But at the same time, I'm not so sure. I mean, and if he is pitching well, do they go out and get Max Scherzer? I don't know about that either. So, so we'll see. I mean, he could have potentially, you know, gotten them to that point, but you know, he's a little too spotty for me to say for sure.
I think one of the things you also have to consider, you know, last year, well, 2020 was like a shortened season, and he pretty much was publicly admitted that he was cheating using foreign substance. Obviously, the MLB cracked down on it this year, so we don't know what kind of effect that would have had on Trevor Bauer and his pitching. Was going back even before, like Tommy said, he was very spotty. You know, he would have 4.3 ERA one year, 2.8 the next, and he'd pop back up to like a 5 ERA. So he was very inconsistent with his pitching. And there was also a video of him literally, you know, applying spider tack to the ball in warmups, like on the field, you know, talking to a different Dodgers player. So you have that factor. Then you also add in that he's not the best locker room guy ever. You know what I mean? He has like his own behavioral issues. We all remember when he chucked that ball over the center field wall in Cleveland, or it might have been at an away game. But Francisco Lindor, he yelled at him in the clubhouse because you just can't do that. You can't behave like that as an MLB pitcher because you got taken out of the game, right? So that was completely unacceptable. And not much has changed, really. You know, he's still that volatile pitcher with behavioral issues, you know, immensely talented. But like Tommy said, I don't think they would have gotten Scherzer anyways if they had Bauer.
And just that, oh, sorry, Kai. Just to add to that a little bit, I took a closer look at his numbers. He's pitched 10 seasons in the big leagues. In 7 of them, his ERA has been over 4. So, I mean, you take a look, 2019, a 4.48, then he goes down to 1.73. You know, in 2020 in the shortened season, wins the Cy Young, and that gets him the big contract. So I think he is a little bit overhyped, but
I mean, do you have anything more to say? I was going to switch it over to some more recent MLB news.
I was going to be switching it over as well.
Okay, I'll just switch it over then. Recent news: Buster Posey retired from the MLB, ending his career. He was an MVP, Rookie of the Year, 7-time All-Star, 3-time World Series, drafted in 2005, ending his career in 2021. Opted out of the 2020 season due to COVID. What I'm going to ask you guys is he going to be a Hall of Famer? Is he going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame? Looking at his whole career, Tommy, I'm going to start with you. You're more the baseball guy, or baseball an analyst, if you say. Are you going to put him in the Hall of Fame?
you know, I would, but there is a strong debate for why he wouldn't be. And see, here's the thing. He did about everything you could do on a baseball field. He won 3 World Series. He won an MVP, Rookie of the Year, 7-time All-Star, Gold Glover, 4-time Silver Slugger, a batting title, 302 lifetime hitter. And, just looking at that, you would say 100% yes, he is. And so you asked me if I had a vote, would I put him in? Yes, I probably would. But he only played 12 seasons. And if you want to compare what he did to other players like former Yankee catcher and captain Thurman Munson. So Munson played 11 seasons in the big leagues, and he had 1,558 hits. Buster Posey had 1,500 on the dot. He was a 292 lifetime hitter. Posey was a 302 lifetime hitter, so just a little bit above. Munson also won an MVP. He won 2 World Series in one last season. And, he won a Rookie of the Year like Posey, 3-time Gold Glover, 7-time All-Star, and he is not in the Hall of Fame. So, taking a look at that, I mean, it makes you wonder because very similar players, and even Munson, some of his numbers are slightly above Posey, and he played in one last season. So, seeing Posey play every day, we all know the talent is there. He's a Hall of Fame caliber player, but he pretty much played the prime of his career and retired at the age of 34. And, if a lot of players did that, their numbers would be a little elevated as well in terms of batting average and stuff like that. So, there's definitely a debate. I see him as a Hall of Famer, but I could see why people wouldn't as well.
Connor, what do you think?
I think he has to have a spot in Cooperstown. I think all of the points that Tommy makes are incredibly valid. I think the one thing that I want to point to is that there's been a turnover in the senior writer voters who are voting to get these players into Cooperstown. A lot of the older guys who have that older baseball history, who have been saying no to Barry Bonds and to Mark McGwire and everyone for years are starting to step out of that. And then, Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire votes are starting to get on the rise. They're not going to make it in. They're not going to get enough votes to make it in, but their votes are starting to rise. I think you're getting a lot of the younger people in there voting. And those are the younger people who have watched Buster Posey every single day. He's got an MVP. He's been to the All-Star game 7 times in his 12 seasons. He won the Rookie of the Year. He's got 3 World Series rings. He played 12 seasons. That while that isn't technically a long tenure in the Major League Baseball, league. Sorry, that was a weird way to say that. He suffered one of the most grueling and gruesome injuries I think I've ever seen on a baseball field. And he played the most grueling injury that you can play in baseball as a catcher. So while maybe the numbers don't exactly line up for him to have a spot in Cooperstown, I think you have to look at what he did on the baseball field. Look at what he did off the baseball field for the city of San Francisco, bringing them so much just hope and talent, around Oracle Park. Everything he's done, I would be a sad baseball fan, a sad fan of baseball if, his years are up on the ballot and he doesn't become a Hall of Famer. I think it would be despicable.
There's a good perspective to come through, Connor. Mike, I'm going to throw it to you. Do you think Buster Posey should be a Hall of Famer, and do you think they'll put him in?
I don't. It's very tough. I think the Thurman Munson comparison is very, like Connor said, very valid. Those are some good points, but I think that's more of an indictment on the Hall of Fame, not putting Thurman Munson in. He had a very complete career, like 7-time All-Star, 2-time World Series champion, Silver Slugger, Gold Glove, MVP, and he was awesome over his 11-year career. And the same could be said for Buster Posey. So I think both of them should be in the Hall of Fame, especially as a catcher, being able to hit like both of them did. I think Posey did have slightly better, overall and average hitting stats, but I think they both deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, no doubt. And especially you got to consider Posey's leadership on the field. Like he led 3 teams to a World Series championship as the unquestioned leader of that team. And he even if this year look at his last year of his whole career. No one thought anything of the Giants. And I think part of their success this year is largely attributed to Buster Posey.
Can I just poke in here for just 1 second? Looking at this past year's Hall of Fame class, you had Derek Jeter, obviously. You also had Larry Walker. Now, Larry Walker was a great baseball player. He played 17 years in the league. He only had 500 more hits than Buster Posey has. He does have more home runs. He was a power hitter. He never won a World Series. He has 2 less All-Star appearances. He also won an MVP. They had the same amount of Silver Slugger votes. He was a 7-time Gold Glove and a 3-time batting title champ. Do the Gold Gloves and batting title champs, is that what pushes Larry Walker over the edge? Plus the 5 extra years on the field. I just, this guy's a Hall of Famer, and he deservingly so is in the Hall of Fame. But if we're gonna disclude Buster Posey with 3 World Series championships, more All-Star appearances, and stuff like that, who also overcame his very serious injury and was still able to get out there on the field and recover after all his rehab. If Larry Walker is in there with these numbers, I think Buster Posey has to be there as well.
Yeah, I mean, just to give my perspective, I think it's very interesting the way both of you guys looked at it. I mean, with Tommy's case, bringing in Thurman Munson, it's very weird how similar their resumes are. Like it's just very weird, very strange. But you have to also think about the time that they were in and moving towards now. I mean, with Connor's point that the guy Larry Walker, who was just brought in, Buster Posey is, you can argue he played better than Larry Walker. Personally, I think Posey should make it. Posey was a name that I even recognized growing up. He was probably the most famous, recognizable catcher. I'm trying to think in my lifetime for me. Obviously, it's probably different for you guys, but I feel like it is for me.
He's definitely up there. You had Yadier Molina, who's definitely a huge.
Posey's more for me.
Off the top of my head, those are the 2 catchers that we've really grown up with. The rest have really kind of flipped over.
Yeah, so he's one of the most recognizable catchers when I was growing up. So I would definitely push him in. It's whether what baseball does, because I know baseball is just really whacked with the Hall of Fame. I have no analysis on that. I have no information on that. I just really know NHL and NFL, how their Hall of Fame type of deal works, and a little the NBA. But I know the MLB is very strict, so I'm not sure if he's going to make it. But I would 100%, no doubt in my mind, push him in.
I think this has been a really good conversation. Tommy, I have one final question for you. You mentioned Thurman Munson.
Yeah.
His career ended in a very devastating way. Obviously, in a plane crash, lost his life in the middle of the 1979 season. If he goes and he plays more baseball, again, hypothetically speaking, that plane crash doesn't happen. He goes back out there, he plays a few more years. Is there any way they don't put him in the Hall of Fame? Obviously, you can't look at numbers from the 1980-81 season and say, those are really good numbers, but he was definitely on the way to a Hall of Fame career.
Oh, for sure. And, just to go back to what I said before, I do think that Buster Posey should be in, just as I think Thurman should be in. I think what Thurman did was, and like you said, the catcher position is so grueling. I think that, Thurman should be in. My only argument with Posey was that, if Thurman didn't get in, then, there's a case for why he wouldn't. But, I think Thurman 100% gets in. And, similar to Posey, the type of person that Thurman was, he was just such, a great person off the field, Yankee captain. And, they really look to him as a leader for those teams. And no, I certainly think he gets in. I mean, he did about as much as he could have on the field. And, like I said, even better off the field. So, if he played longer, he would have been a Hall of Famer. And to me, he still should be. And, they do have that, like today's, I forget the name of it, like the modern era ballot,
Yes.
where committee votes. And, I still think there's a chance for him to get in. But, Thurman Munson's a Hall of Famer to me.
I think this is going to wrap up a really good Really good topic. This is going to be the last of baseball talk as a topic for quite some time. The season over. We will have one more sliver of baseball for you in this episode, and then I think that's going to be it for quite some time. We're going to run into our GOAT picks. It is getting a little contested there in GOAT picks. Everyone's starting to catch up just a little bit. We'll get into those picks for you next.
Welcome back to Go Chat. We are back with some GOAT picks. You check the leaderboard out. Like Connor said, it's a pretty tight race. Tommy is still in the lead with 21 wins, I believe. Mike's got 18. I have 17. Connor's 16. So it's what? Did I get it wrong? I'm pretty sure it's right.
No, I probably read it wrong in the chat. I thought he had 24. I was like, oh, he has 23. That's what you sent in the chat.
And how much does we have? Because that's right.
We both have 18 and Connor has 17. That's what you said in the chat. So
I'm gonna have to look it over because I really don't even remember. Anyways, it's the same order. I know that for a fact.
yeah.
We got 4 great games. We got 1 NCAA football, basketball, and 2 football. Tommy, it's gonna start with you. We got number 12 Auburn going into Texas A&M, number 13 ranked team according to College Football Playoff. I'm pretty sure, not the AP rankings, but College Football Playoff rankings. Tommy, who do you think's gonna win?
This is a tough one. I think Auburn's going to pick up the victory on the road. Yeah, gonna go with Auburn.
Mike.
I disagree, Tommy. I'm going with the home team, baby. Texas A&M defeated Alabama in their home stadium, and they're going to do the same thing to Auburn. They're going to make Bo Nix look like an absolute fool.
I'm going to go with A&M too. I think that A&M's a better team, and I think that Jimbo Fisher, his coaching is going to come down to it. Connor.
Yeah, I'm going to take Texas A&M as well. I don't think Bo Nix is going to have a very good game. I think they're going to have a really stifling defense. And Matt mentioned Jimbo Fisher. I think the coaching is going to be the difference factor.
All right, now heading to basketball. We got Utah versus Miami, Jazz versus Heat. Tommy, this is a pretty good game. I could see it going either way. What are you thinking?
What am I thinking? Let me take a look. I am thinking I'm gonna go with the Jazz on this one. I went to my friends at ESPN for help on that one, and we're gonna go with the Jazz.
That's what the ESPN matchup predictor said.
Yeah, we got a 53.7% chance, so I'm gonna roll with
it. All right, that's one way to take a pick, Mike.
Maybe that's how Tommy's winning. You know.
No, that's not true. I picked Auburn just now, who has like a 37% chance to win tomorrow. So.
Tommy, the thinking is inconsistent, but I'm gonna have to go against you once again. I'm gonna go with Miami, even though they did have a very poor showing against Boston the other night, losing by 20. But Miami is home. They've played very well this whole season. They really just couldn't get their offense going against Boston. I don't think that's going to be the case against Utah. They have the best defense in the league. That's going to be shown Saturday night in Miami.
I'm going to go with Miami also. I think Lowry's injury is interesting because we don't really know if he's playing. He did exit in the third quarter, I believe, towards the end. So I think that's a developing story there. But I do think Miami is the better team. I think they've been playing as the better team and had a one bad game against Boston. I don't expect them to have another bad game back-to-back games, not back-to-back days, but back-to-back games. Don't expect it for them. Connor, I think I know who you're going to go with.
Yeah, I'm going to take Miami. You know, Kyle Lowry injury definitely is a developing story, but I think it just gives a chance for Tyler Hero to step up and be playing essentially the way he's been playing all year.
Moving into NFL Sunday, we got AFC North division rivals, Cincinnati Bengals versus Cleveland Browns, Battle of Ohio. No more Odell Beckham Jr. in Cleveland. Is that going to affect anything? Tommy, we got Cincinnati versus Cleveland. Who are you going to go with?
I'm going to take Cincinnati this weekend. Not too much going into these picks this weekend, let me tell you.
You don't need it. You're winning by so much, and you don't take anything into your picks. It just works for you.
I know. Hey, I just think about a team I think's got a shot, and we take them.
Well, I mean, we're picking games that both teams have a pretty good. Well, I hope we're picking games that both teams have a pretty good shot, Tommy.
I know, but we'll see. I got Joe Burrow in this one.
All right, Mike.
Yeah, I think this is probably the best game of the slate. And this is a very tough pick. You know, you guys know I've been very high on the Browns all season. And screw it. I'll go with the Browns here. I think it's gonna be a very close game. Obviously, Matt's very excited. He's gonna take his guy, Joe Burrow. It's tough to go against Tommy for another game. I think it's honestly a 50-50 toss-up for me. I'm just hoping with Odell out, that opens some things up for the rest of the team.
I mean, Odell was like wide open half the time, and Baker wouldn't throw to him. I'm gonna go with Cleveland. Cincinnati.
Oh man.
I was like, what?
It was Cincinnati. That was bad. They're close in name. I'm going with Cincinnati. I think Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals, they really need a win here because they just lost to one of the worst teams in NFL, the New York Jets. Their defense needs to pick it up. Mike White just made them look like they were cheese. So they're going to need to pick it up. Jamar Chase had a slow day last week. I don't expect the same this week going up against Cleveland. And they really just want to win that because it's a division rival game. It's going to be one heck of a game. I'm not going to count Cleveland out. I just don't think Cleveland's offense is going to be there on Sunday. Connor.
I mean, go ahead, Connor. Sorry.
It's going to be Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati wins by plus 10 points. I think they're going to come. I really do. I think they're going to be coming in with a vengeance. I think Zach Taylor is going to be pushing them to play their best football this week. You know, they got embarrassed. They got embarrassed last Sunday against the Jets.
By one of the worst teams in the NFL.
They got embarrassed. Okay.
One of the worst teams in the NFL.
They're the best team in the AFC because they beat the Titans and the Bengals. It's statistically proven. But
oh wow, like the Titans or anything anymore. But go on. And they're not going to be that good of a team without Derrick Henry.
It's fine. They still are statistically the best team in the NFL. But the Bengals got embarrassed last week, and I think they're going to come in and try to prove something against a division opponent and win by plus 10 points.
Well, don't you think the Browns got embarrassed last week, only scoring 10 points against the Steelers? You know what I mean?
Sure, but what can they do to get any better? They didn't give the ball to Nick Chubb. Just keep giving the ball to Nick Chubb. I mean, Baker's still playing with a hurt shoulder. He's not going to be able to do enough.
You could say the exact same thing for the Bengals. I think both these teams are going to bounce back after rough weeks. It's going to be a dogfight. And the dog pound is going to come out on top.
All right. We'll just have to see. Go check Gridiron. Maybe we'll have another argument there between you two. Carolina versus New England. This is a very interesting game. Gilmore's going up against his old team. Tommy, you got the final pick?
So we got New England and the Panthers. I'm going to take the Panthers this weekend. I think I picked them the other day, and we're going to go with them again.
I love Tommy's decision-making process.
So funny.
All right.
Hey, I have no idea. I just do it on the spot, and it works out.
Sorry, Mike.
Okay, so we got the Panthers, and I was just wondering which one is the home team. I'm going to pick the Patriots no matter what. I just think that they're the better team. They had a great game against the Chargers, pulling off that upset. And I think they're the favorites in this game. I think they're still going to come out on top.
It's in Bank of America, so that's Carolina.
There we go. Let's go home team.
I'm going with New England. I think they're the better team here. Connor.
Carolina. McCaffrey's back. I think that's Sam Darnold's safe play. I think he's gonna try to bounce back. I think Stephon Gilmore gets another interception off of his former team.
All right, there's our GOAT picks. We'll have those posted tomorrow before the 3:30 game between Auburn and A&M. But if episode's not finished, we got GOAT of the week coming up right next. Welcome back to Go Chat. We are back with the final segment, as you know it, GOAT of the week. You look what happened last week, and you look at that leaderboard. Oh, who won? I think it was Connor, right?
Oh, you won. Jamar Chase won.
No, Mike won. Jamar
Chase. I won. Yeah, let's go. It's been so long.
All right, Mike.
I wish I won. I only got 3 votes. I was a little upset.
I'm not
Who
gonna
was
lie.
your pick again?
Byron Kennedy.
Oh yeah, no, that was a good pick. But
Bro, I only got one vote.
He's not
Yeah.
even a player. Byron Kennedy.
Tommy, you picked.
Okay.
healthcare
Okay,
I know I,
workers.
I voted for him, but still.
Oh, all right, whatever. Mike, floor
Who
is
was the
yours.
goal of episode 107 because we had a phenomenal conversation off of it. So there you go, Connor. I gotta go with Micah Parsons. Dallas going into Minnesota, without Dak, huge loss. And that Dallas defense held a top 5 offense to only 16 points. Micah Parsons, 11 total tackles, 4 tackles for loss. He was really good in coverage. He was the leader on that defense, and he was calling the plays before this week, but he got that duty relief from him. Obviously, as a rookie, it's tough, to have all these responsibilities, but without him calling plays, he's just been flying everywhere, and you could just watch that game, and he's just special. He's so instinctive, and he's got to be my go of the week here.
Say I told you so. Say Connor told me so.
No, like we've already been through this. I just, Matt, who's your go of the week? Jesus Christ.
All right, I'll just give my go to the week then. I'm gonna go with the true hero of that football game, and that is the man, the myth, the legend, better than Dak Prescott, guaranteed. Super rush. He went into that game after Dak was announced officially out that afternoon. And what he did coming into that game, 325 yards, 2 touchdowns, only 1 interception. But given that was his first career start, it's absolutely tremendous getting a win out there. You look back in Cowboys history that Tony Romo also got a win on his first career start. Wasn't it that he came in as a backup?
Yeah, he came in for Bledsoe.
Yeah, that was
against Carolina, I think, or that might have been his first start. I'm not sure.
It was against a football team. We'll put it at that point.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So yeah, just to see him go out there and do it. He's not going to be a future Cowboys quarterback. I hope for him the best, that he can find a job somewhere.
Yeah.
That's not a backup to Dak. I mean, Dak might get hurt many more times, but you can't guarantee.
That never happens.
Can't guarantee that.
Go to the week.
I got to go with the World Series MVP, Jorge Solaire. He had an incredible World Series. He hit 300, 3 home runs, 6 RBIs. And, obviously he's a big reason why they're champions here today. The parades today in Atlanta. And, he was just outstanding that whole series. Hit a big home run. I think it was a 3-run home run in that clinching game in Game 6. And, really set the tone. And, obviously they were able to win that ball game. And he was just great the whole series. So got to go with Jorge Solaire.
And I'm going to go with Mike effing White. The man is a legend. Obviously, in the game on Thursday night, he had to come out due to a forearm injury. 7 for 11 for 95 yards and a touchdown on his 2 drives that are in that game. He looks good. We're talking about the game against Cincinnati. 405 yards, 3 touchdowns in his first career start. The only other quarterback to throw for 400 yards in his first career start, Cam Newton. The only quarterback to throw for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns in his first start, Mike White, and that's the entire list. He came into a hostile territory, 5-2 Cincinnati Bengals team. Obviously, it wasn't a very hostile territory. They were at home. But going up against the best team in the AFC and came away with a win. I mean, he was the AFC Offensive Player of the Week, the FedEx Air Player of the Week, and the best award you could earn in the NFL. He won the MVP of the week, the Nickelodeon Valuable Player of Week 8. I mean, he stepped into a really, really tough spot, and he played his arse off, and he led the Jets to a win. So, I mean, you got to give him a lot of credit. 405 yards, 3 touchdowns. I didn't want to swear, so I said arse. He's the goat of the week. I mean, the everything that's been going on around him through this first week. Is there a real quarterback controversy in New York? Probably not, but he played his tail off.
I mean, I feel like, look at how good Mike White played in his one game, and even before he left the game against Indianapolis. It's tough to say, like, if depending on how long Mike White is out, and if Zach Wilson's out for like 2 more weeks, like for the rest of the season, I feel like there definitely could be some sort of controversy.
I mean,
Mike White is going to be practicing this week. They think he'll be fine for Buffalo. Zach Wilson's starting practicing this week. If they said it last night in the press conference, if he's good to play on Sunday, he's playing. So
do you really think you can finish your sentence?
I think Zach Wilson's the quarterback of the Jets. He stepped in and he played great, but I think another big difference is Mike LaFleur is up in the booth now calling plays, not down on the sideline. Josh Johnson stepped in and threw for 300 yards yesterday. Josh Johnson's a journeyman. This is his 14th NFL team. I think Zach Wilson is really going to be on the rise coming back from the injury.
I mean, just looking at the game yesterday, do you really think that was a good game? I mean, he almost had an interception to Zaire Franklin in the beginning.
That was a tough throw. It was a throw back, and then he was throwing off his back.
Yeah. And then the one touchdown he threw, wasn't that to a wide open Elijah Moore where the coverage was blown?
Yeah, I could go Elijah Moore for my go to the week too. 7 for 84 and 2 touchdowns. He's
okay.
A real athlete here, man.
My point is, I don't. He had I'm not gonna say it was a bad or good game to start the Colts. I think it was, it was a small sample size. I'm not gonna.
Sure.
Okay, sure. We'll agree on that. We'll have a final agreement on Go Chat episode 108. Subscribe, follow us on Instagram, follow us on every other page you can find us. If you want to hear more NFL content between me, Connor, and Michael, look out for Go Chat Gridiron on vicradio.org. You could
Sunday at 11 o'clock.
Sunday at 11 o'clock. You could go
Michael,
on.
Please stop it.
Yeah, we'll be posting. We post about that every week. So if you want to hear more NFL content, be sure to look out for that. Henry Ruggs, Aaron Rodgers, Derrick Henry, all those different conversations going on this Sunday. But other than that, great episode, guys. Another great one. We got episode 109 coming up next week. We'll see you guys then.